Hey, and welcome to AJ's Upcycle Garage. Today I'm going to tackle this Oklahoma Joe's DLX 900. Probably wondering why it's already in pieces. Well, I actually got this thing for free. It was a marketplace deal. And the complaint that they had was this was a second auger motor they went through. And husband took it apart, flipped the grease tray upside down in there. That was kind of him. And decided they were not going to put another one in it, and they were done with this thing. So it's like a $900 grill when it was new. So these fans are, you know, the cheap ones are probably only like 20 or 30 bucks. But I understand, you know, you get fed up with it, you're tired of changing stuff. It is what it is. So I have determined that not cleaning this thing out is probably the reason it kept going bad. What I think happens is grease billows up, and as the fan's trying to cool everything off, some of this will start catching on fire and the smoke will actually go backwards. Well, it makes the auger sticky, for one. See how this is all this brown color? To even get this, I had to spray it with degreaser like 4 or 5 times just to get that cleaned off so I could read what the model was and order a fan for it. The display and everything is missing. I have it inside and I'm cleaning it. It has a brown cloud over it, so you can't hardly see what's going on, just like that does. So I'm gonna wash that separate. So the only thing that's left in here right now is the probe. There's the igniter in the bottom, and then this fan under here. So I want to power wash it because if I can get it fixed, you know, I want to cook. I want to make some food, check it out, see if it's going to work and do what it's supposed to do. So initially, this actually was taken off and everything was loose and all the screws are gone. So I'm going to have to find new ones of those. And yeah, so this is kind of what we picked up here. I've got kind of a handful of things I'm going to power wash here quick. We went paddle boarding last night, so pardon me for the mess, but yeah, just lots of buildup. So I'm going to try to scrape this out with a scraper. We'll see how we get, how far we get anyways. This is the smoke and sear option that comes with this. Handle's gone. She said she didn't know where it was. Buckets were gone. There's a bucket of pellets that hangs under that she wanted to keep a hold of because it's a good thing to store pellets in, so it's all good. But normally you got to take a couple screws out right here, 2 screws out on the handle so that this can come off. Then we pull this off and you should be able, oh, hey! Look at that, what a nice guy. He didn't lose all of it. Well, that stinking makes my day right there. And there's the handle, good. This little deflector shield goes right here. And then all of this comes out. He's had this apart, so I wonder if maybe he has cleaned it. We'll see how hard. There's a screw right there and a screw right there to get this whole thing out. But what I want to do again is just, we'll start by scraping it all out with like a putty knife or a paint scraper. Get as much of this crap off as we can because we're going to completely start over with it. Make sure there's no more issues with the backflow. And then I'll probably paint it and we'll see what it looks like when I get done. So give me a few minutes. I'm gonna grab a screwdriver, pop that loose, and we'll see what's underneath it. Yeah, so I'm gonna stick by my original comment. I think that's why that motor went bad. This is just what came out of the bottom. So, definitely been quite a while since it got cleaned out. So I'm gonna continue scraping this. I know there's a lot trapped underneath this tunnel. And there's a fan in there, so I may just take this out anyways. That way it'll just be easier. There's 4 bolts right there. They look like they're 1/2 inch. Could be wrong, but I guess we'll find out. And then we'll get that out of there, and power washing the inside of this will be a lot easier. So clean your grills, people. So the good news is the 2 screws, the one that's right here, the other one that's right there, came out really good. It's probably because they were buried under 1/2 inch of grease and never had the chance to rust out. But if you look, it's just covered. Big mounds of sawdust and a lake. So we'll go ahead and get that cleaned out too, and then we can start power washing. All right, so it's all out. One thing to make note of, this has an easy clean out on it, right? Well, there's a little bit, yeah. Just a little dust. There. All right, it's clean, right? We're just gonna go to show how many times this ever got cleaned out. So the pot is over here. See how there's those little grates? All the ash is supposed to fall out, but it doesn't always do that. Sometimes it comes up into the chamber. However, what do you notice about that? Oh. This thing didn't get cleaned out even once. Oh man, it's still coming out. So there you go. But there's the left, here's what's left of the gross stuff. So probably a couple years worth of grunge. No wonder that auger quit. Didn't have anywhere to blow it. Probably not the worst I've ever seen, but for a grill that's only 2 years old, man, this thing just never got cleaned out. So I'll scrape the rest of this stuff out, and then I'll come back after I'm done power washing to show you kind of what state it's in now that it's all in pieces. And we'll get it, that looks like a guy's face. We'll get it all cleaned up, piece it back together, and then we'll start spray painting, as long as the breeze doesn't blow me away here. So stay tuned. All right, there we are. So after a couple coats of some degreaser and grill cleaner, it's much happier in there. I'll have to repaint a little bit of the back, but that's no big deal. Outside is pretty faded, partially because it got used. Also, sometimes these cleaners that you use on them can leave streaks or make the paint look, you know, faded. That's what would have been covered up, so that never saw the sun. So it's probably more fading than anything else. But yeah, that's not looking great, but with a layer of paint it'll look better. So it took off some paint in here. I'm guessing it got pretty hot once, and that's probably what that is all about on that side. But the rest of it cleaned up good. I think the fan motor's okay, but this was almost like 100% covered in grease. So it's gonna be a piece of cake. What, 6 screws? 1, 2, and 4 that hold that on. I'll just throw a new one in it so I don't have to deal with it. But yeah, it'll need a little bit of paint too, so it doesn't rust. As you can see, all of that was covered in grease, and when I put that cleaner on there, it just brought everything up with it. So no big deal. The tube is nice and cleaned out now, so there shouldn't be much, if any, resistance on that. So we are doing good actually so far. So I'm gonna let this drip dry in the sun. I'll push it over there so it can sit out there and dry off, and then I will go through and probably tape a few things off. You know, clean some of this up a little bit better. Maybe go over it with Simple Green one more time just to make sure that all the grease is off, and then I'll throw a couple layers of paint on it and we'll see what we got when we're done. But all of that worked before I even hear it run. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure the controller and everything's good. It's just for sure the auger motor was bad, and we kind of figured out why that was. And chances are fan motor in that is alive but gonna die soon. Or I'm lazy and just want to do it when it's easy. So we'll be back when this thing's dried off. So that's what we got. This is the old fan. It actually tests good, so I'll keep it, I suppose. But I'm gonna replace it anyways. This one's kind of tough to get to. You gotta take quite a bit apart to get to it. Also, because it's cheap enough, I'm going to put a new thermostat and a new igniter in it. So, the grill grates, those turned out really good. So I am going to paint some of this. The inside doesn't really matter because it's going to get a coating of grease the first time I use it anyways. But the inside of this I'd be concerned about. I don't want it to rust or anything wild. So I'll put a little bit of heat temp paint on it, let that dry for a little bit, and then I'll put this back on the grill so that it'll kind of hold things together for me to paint. It's just a lot easier when the whole thing's put together. So I'll get working on that and I'll show you what I get. There we go. It's all covered in paint, won't rust. Got a nice coating on that too. And sprayed a little bit back in there. Now, one thing to remember, if you don't want to do that, you wouldn't have to. I'm just doing it more for looks than anything. You want to avoid getting the thermostat with it. But you need to burn this off. So the first time you run it, you know, you'll slowly increase the temperature to start curing the paint. And then you need to kind of send it, get it 400 or 500 degrees so it can really set, because you don't want your food smelling like spray paint off gas as it hardens. So one extra step, I guess, that we're gonna have to do, but that's okay. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and get the fan thrown in now on the back side, and the new igniter. I'll probably keep this one because it'll test good, so if I'm in an emergency situation with something of my own, at least I'll have something I can toss in. But again, I'm here, it's easy to do. It costs $7 to buy a new one. I think this fan was $22. You can buy a whole kit with a new pot and everything off Amazon for like $50. So, I mean, you can basically have a whole new grill as far as the electronics go, minus the control board for 50 bucks. Ain't a bad deal. So let me get this all put together. I'll slide it back in, and then we can paint the hopper while it's off, and then we'll start in on taping everything else off. I'm gonna take this emblem loose. I think it's like 7/16 or 10 millimeters something, and there's just a couple of screws that hold this handle on. So, and that's pretty much it. There's not much to tape off other than that. So let me get going here. All right, so I should probably make mention, how do you change some of this? So there's 4 screws that come out right here, and look, evidence he tried to do something once and didn't get there. So I don't know, maybe the igniter does need to be changed, I don't know. But effectively, you take these 4 screws out, you slide it a little bit like this, and then it's just a matter of wiggling and lifting. Fingers a little, man, I don't want you to get hurt. Oh, there you go. So if you turn it until it goes up this side, you can just pull it right out. So, and that's just an Allen key. You can drop that right back in. And upon further review of the play, somebody has already been in here and done broke this screw. Dang. So, I'll finish breaking this off the rest of the way, but probably the best thing to do is either heat quench it. You know, you get it real hot and then you hit it with water so it cools off real quick. And it dissolves that rust. I'm guessing it's just kind of locked in there and it needs some lubrication. So I'm gonna go get some WD-40 and we'll try to turn this thing out. And then we'll replace that so that we can replace the fan, so that we can replace this back into there. It's kind of like working on a house. The further you go in, the more work you find. But that's okay. Go. New igniter's in. Comes right out the side. New fan is in. This grill's all cleaned off so it can breathe. And I didn't really pay enough attention. I thought it came out right there, but it don't. I think it comes out over here and then goes up. So now that that's all put back together, we can throw it back on the grill and keep going. So I went ahead and painted this side first, since it's really hard. You start trying to paint all of this put together and you overspray that goes this way, and then the finish doesn't. See how my hand looks smooth? It will look like a checkerboard when you get done with it if you're painting this, because you're constantly going to be trying to keep the paint wet on this whole hopper and this so that it all looks good. So taking it off and painting it's the best way, in my opinion, and that comes from experience, because this is the second one I've done and this is already starting to turn out better than the last one I painted. So the auger is now super clean. There's no stickiness to it. Amazon just brought us the new auger motor. So this shaft slides into the end of that, and this bolt holds it in. There's also a little screw that needs to come in through the side to hold this guy in place. Let's see where it was. See? So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna paint the hopper. All right, so now this auger motor is on. It's kind of off, I don't know. It's kind of made exactly to fit in here. So kind of stand it up and down, and then the shaft part needs to come out on the left side if you're looking at it from this direction. So that being said, now this piece has to go in there, and they really made it pretty easy. They made a line that comes out, so as you slide it on there, you can line the two up, and that makes that part a whole lot easier. There. So you put a little screw in there, and then that's done. On we go. It's all done. We are ready to rock as far as that stuff goes. I put gasket tape. There's a little bit hanging out. You can buy it in rolls, but rolls. And then you put those 4 bolts in. I got this actually for here. That'll help seal the smoke in a little bit better. But the gasket between that was fried, so I went ahead and used that. So now we actually will start to paint, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay, here we go. There it is. So it's painted up. Word to the wise, when you take these handles off, all you have to do is take these 4 screws out and the whole thing pulls off. You don't have to undo springs or pull those little pins out or nothing. Just back those out and you're good. So, the word to the wise, don't paint when it's windy, because it dries so fast that you get this like zebra effect. It rains on it a few times and you won't really notice it, but that happened. But yeah, it's looking better. We're gonna paint the bottom of it and then put the control panel in, but we've got pretty much everything ready to go. So just a little bit more paint and a little bit more assembly and we'll give this thing a try. And there we have it. So it is painted. I did not paint the inside of this because who cares, I guess. But this looks pretty good. That all turned out real nice. Look kind of paint did we use, Kason?
Black.
Yep. That stuff works really good. It does better when it's not windy. So if you want it to turn out real uniform, make sure you pick a better day than I did. But it's okay. It rains on it a couple times, you wipe it down or hose it off, it'll all start looking the same. So we're gonna put some grates in. I think I'm gonna put some tape on, gasket. Maybe we should cure the paint first and then do that. What do you think?
We should do that.
Okay, we'll do that. And then we gotta put our handle on. So give me, I don't know, a little bit here. I'll go put that thing back together. We'll put this on and we'll try it. And there you go. Start to finish. So, got that all cleaned out. Everything's put back together. Oh, we forgot the grills, or the grates that go up here. You wanna go grab them? They're right there on that smoker. So yeah, it was a lot of work. And we were only short 2 screws that were for that. And then had some leftovers, but I mean, you saw how far we took this thing down. I don't know where they could have gone, so I can only imagine that just came from another project entirely, and he's now missing a handful of those screws. There's one. What is this? Yeah, I don't know. He probably had some sort of contraption laced up to like suspend food or something. Who knows? Let's take those off before we put that one on. But I'll grab some pellets and we'll give it a shot. We have life. We have pellets. We have fire. Let's see if it'll go up to temp. But it's going. Just to prove this isn't my other grill. I'm cooking brats on this one. The first one I redid. So it's still in the preheat mode. It's definitely getting warm. At first I didn't think the pellets were going in, so I cleared them out just to see if the auger would go. It'd spin just a few times, like 3/4 of a revolution or less, like maybe half a revolution, and then it'd quit. So I turned it on and off to feed it all the way to the end, and I was worried that there was a problem with this guy, which they don't sell. You know, you have to call and probably yell at someone to get a new one. But I'm gonna let it come up to temp. I'm gonna start low, let it sit there for a little bit, then crank it up. And I mean, if you go full blast on this fresh paint, then you're just gonna ruin it. It'll bubble up and it'll be a bad deal. So just gradually, you know, 200, 250, 300, 350. And if you're brave, go to 4. But that's, you know, that's pretty dang hot. They don't cure cars hotter than that. So this should be a good break-in run. But what do we have in it? Auger motor for sure. That was like 25 bucks. I decided to put the hot rod in it. That was, I think, 8 bucks. I put a new, oh, the other fan, whatever that one's called, the convection fan or whatever. I think that was like 25 bucks separate. Or like I said, you can buy all of it in a kit, including a pot, but not for this grill, for like 50. So the most expensive thing actually out of this whole deal was the paint. Those cans are like 8 bucks a piece, and I think I went through 4.5 because it's just such a big grill. So, you know, it gets kind of spendy. The other things that are going to cost me some money here in the future too are going to be, I need 2 buckets. There's supposed to be a bucket for pellets. I'm actually cooking on the first one I redid. Let's see the bucket. There's the 2 drip buckets. And if it's gonna live outside a tarp. And Amazon has had a deal in the past where it's like between 60 and 75 bucks where you can get a cover, the bucket, yeah, I think that's it actually, just the cover in the bucket. But it comes with like a, I don't know, a sieve or whatever you want to call it, to get the dust will fall out to the bottom of the bucket, and a little scoop. So that's it. That's all she wrote. So I'm gonna burn this thing off and I'll be cooking with it probably tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this didn't end up being too long, but with some help from my son, it only ended up taking about 6 hours to do, and most of that was just because of how far I took it apart and then painted everything, which you don't have to do. But if I work on something, I want it to look good too, so you can be proud of it when you're done. So like and subscribe. Hopefully this was interesting or helpful. If you have questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next one.